Awesome. So much good stuff happening there. Let's go back. Can we go back? Sure, go back to the beginning. Yeah. Make sure you have your pencil ready. Here's my trombone. Great job. So do a couple things. The Autobahn's kind of an interesting road, interstate highway, in the sense that there's no speed limit. So you can be going along at a slowly 95 miles an hour, and some Ferrari's going to come flying by you going 210. So it's kind of a weird situation. I was there once a long time ago, and it was a little unnerving to be on a road where you think, oh, I'm going pretty fast, like I'm going 20 miles an hour normal, faster than I would ever drive in the States, and then to just see normal cars go flying by me at 150, 180 miles. So you're one of those Ferraris, okay? So the only thing that I would change is the sound tone quality is phenomenal. Maybe start a little softer and then make the gliss faster. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then just in general, this rhythmic motivic phrase, the ba 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 ba, you're kind of the motor that's driving this car, so to speak. But you're not the most important thing. So if you find that you're ever playing that part, or if you find that you're playing that motor, just a little bit less. And if you have something lyrical, and we'll kind of get into more as we get into the piece a little bit deeper, but if you have something that's lyrical, more melodic, that's the stuff that I want to hear. That bum 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 is a little bit underneath that. Okay. I want to start. Let's look at measure 26. Can you change that mezzo forte to a piano? This is one of those situations that when you write something and you're sitting in a room all by yourself and you think, oh, this is going to be my forte. And then you go up and hear something live and go, yeah, that's not soft enough. So I was doing that with the WIA1 ensemble last night. I think I changed probably 7 or 8 different dynamic markings. What you hear in your head and what you put on paper is 2 different things. So yeah, we're thinking of measure 26. When we start there, we want to keep that a lot softer, and think of it as we're building all the way to the downbeat of measure 34. So that should really kind of be one long crescendo, okay? So those of you who play at measure 30, that's more, we're going to change that to measure forte. And that gives us a much more impressive and dramatic on-ramp going into 34. We try that.
Sure. Where would you like to start?
Just at 26.
26.
Yeah. Hi-hat, about 80% less. Okay, just a little bit. You're kind of the gawk block that gets us through this, but it should just be kind of right underneath everything else. So this is kind of the scene in the piece when all these different things kind of start coming by. Okay, you're driving along and you hear an ambulance coming by. Who of you thinks that you're the ambulance in this? Yeah, saxophones, clarinets, you guys have that kind of descending line. If you've ever seen a movie with the European ambulance, that's kind of what it sounds like. If you're not somebody who's a sound effect, so to me sound effect people are first trombone at 50, trumpets and baritone at 53, clarinets and saxes at 54. If you're not one of those, if you're somebody who's a motor rhythm, so I'm looking at clarinets, oboe flute types like at 58 and stuff, you guys can come way down. Everybody else can come out of the section.
Deep touches for that line.
Yes.
Anybody has that little pivot.
Yeah, pretty much all percussion and all low voices. A little bit less from you, but if you have a punctuation, if you have a quarter note triplet, if you have one of those descending quarter note things, or if you have a bliss, you guys can come be a lot shorter. Great.
Would you like to start at 38?
Yeah, that's great. That's 38 over there.
So 38, please.
And even though this is marked double forte, it's more kind of a forte plus. So we're not trying to blow back the stands at this point. It should just be kind of light and airy, especially trumpets. Think a little bit lighter.
38.
47, can we make the beginning of that measure softer so the crescendo's bigger? Maybe like that a piano as well, going 42 by 47. The balance of 48 was way better. Percussion, way better. The ambulance quarter notes, and then when the horns and baritones come in at 56 and 57, let's try to connect those quarters as much as possible. E-da, E-da, E-da. So no space between those quarter notes. And then low brass, 58 to 61, actually it's all the way to 63. Let's try to make those 8 notes a lot shorter. Okay. Awesome.
38. 38.
Again, we're gonna connect those notes a little bit. E, da, E, da, E, da, da. Instead of da, 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 make these notes a little bit much more.
You mess it to the voice.
Yeah, clarinet, saxophone, sax, starting at 68. Have the 8th note go into the quarter note. So instead of thinking of it as like putting emphasis on the quarters, put more emphasis on the 8th notes. E, da, E, da, E, da, E, da, E. Does that make sense?
Right. 68.
That'd be great, yeah.
68. Ready. Come on. When that same little motivic line is D, picked up with nothing with the same. So if you guys get that, you pick up that motivic line that the clarinets had from and saxes from 68, that played the same. So more connected, you're going to push the 8 up to the 4. Can we try to make it 68?
Yeah, and really what we're doing, at 68, we're setting up for more lyrical quality than months later. That's the idea.
68, please. 1.
Yes, much better on that, on the motivic stuff, starting back at 68. So when we get to 94, even though it's marked double forte, it should still have a sense of lightness to it. It's not like a power double forte. So if you have melodic stuff, looking at saxophones and trumpets, it should still, even though it's got a lot of accents, it should still have a lightness to it.
Okay. If you want that line played the same way as that motivic line earlier, or do you want it more connected? On the trumpet, alto sax line.
Play the same way you started that.
So it's da 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 da. You're doing the same kind of connected feel.
Yes.
Did you guys get that at 94? Trumpet's alto, so it's going to be the same, similar, just a little fuller.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's what it was. 105. If you have this fanfare idea, so looking at upper brass, trombones, saxophones, think of the quarter needs to be a little bit longer. Da, 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 da. So it really should be more of a dotted quarter, not a short quarter. So yeah, just a little bit more fullness on those quarter notes. Ba, 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 ba. Low brass, 93 and 104. Let's make a bigger deal out of that descending line. Okay? Bum, 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 bum. Or the ba, ba, bum, ba, bum, bum. You have a lot more emphasis on that. That's low reads as well. And solo trombone at 109. Kind of like the opening ones, make the bliss happen more towards the end, the front part. Actually, go back where, maybe 68.
68, okay. Yep. All right, 68.
Can we just do the fanfare thing?
Yeah.
So we have that.
So 105, speak with the quarter note, followed by the eighth fret. Okay.
Yeah, low voices, so baritone, tubas, very sax, bass, clarinet. Your quarter note's going to feel a little bit longer too. It's not a short accent, it's more of a ba, ba.
Okay, those be 105.
Longer quarter note. Da, 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 da. Think of it as a dotted quarter note, not a short quarter note.
So, my problem, I tend to slow it down, I tend to try to think stuff. I don't, I tend to not keep it moving personally myself, so. When they kind of push me back and then I kind of follow, so that's kind of this feel that I struggle with the piece especially.
Yeah. And really it's any time that you have something that's a repeated pattern over and over and over again, it's really your job to kind of drive this thing along and to keep it moving and keep it chugging. Otherwise it slows down. It will be driving faster.
Yeah. All right, try to think ahead. Try to get as many of those changes in as you can. Let's go straight. So feel like you have to rush into that down. Yeah. Late.
Like I'm trying to catch a bus.
Yes, you're trying to catch a bus. There you go. Yeah.
Think of it like almost, I would wait till G4.
Yeah.
So crescendo for 3 counts and then just at the very end smear down. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, that's why you play trombone, so you could smack people
Yes.
with it, right? Yes.
Lots of fun.
Does it feel like I feel like it just feels like it just, does it, it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's much fine. Hey, flutes in clarinet 1 at measure 20. Can you change the articulation for me there? And then where you're just slurring the first 2 notes, so you're going E, da, E, da, E, da, E, da. Who's playing the cymbal part at, oh yeah, 68, the right cymbal. Can we try it a little bit more off the crown? It's like when you play, just not quite as much on the crown, so it has a little bit more of a wider sound. That makes sense. Yeah, let's go back to 13 if we can. Yeah, just to check the stuff that's going through.
That's where we are? 13. Here we go.
What was it 34 and 35? Can we make a bigger deal out of dee-da-da-da-pa-pa, dee-da-da-da-pa-pa? Match the same intensity that the brass would. Especially the two eighth notes with the accents. Dee-da-da-da-pa-pa, dee-da-da-da-pa-pa.
Oh, you want to go back to 13?
That's, yeah, or we can even do something at 26 maybe.
26? Okay,
Yeah.
26.
Upper woodwinds are 20, that's right.
26.
Symbol of 26, a little bit less. A little bit less. And you can even bring out make the unaccented eighth notes a little bit less, but keep the accents kind of where they are.
Same spot.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Same spot.
Flutes upper woodwinds at 43. 16ths can be a lot more there. Okay, really rip those. As much as you can give me there. And then low voices, baritones, tubas, deep two of measure 43. You need the bottom to kind of drop out there. Okay, accent that those low D flats even more. And one other thing, 39 and 41. You have this rhythm where you go ba 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 bam. That syncopated beat at 39 and 41, lay into that a little bit more, emphasize that a little bit. Bum 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 ba bum 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 ba bum. It helps this groove a little bit.
Like the low brass right there.
Yes, yeah, and low reeds. So horns, low brass, kind of vary altitude.
Yeah.
26.
Let's make 88 softer. So we're thinking 88 is one big crescendo taking us all the way to downbeat at 90. So even flutes, when you enter at 90, think of that more as a piano. Same thing with trumpets at 90. So soft, when you come in, anytime after 88, it's much softer. And then we're going to build big time going into that. And really low voices, they're the ones that take us there at 90. So big crescendo and emphasis for you guys on those accents. Sorry, 76,
76, please.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Even later. Even later. Think of it as you're going to hold that B flat for as long as you possibly can. And it's probably you have to go to that E on the next beat.
And same with the beginning as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with it, looking.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Do you guys have any questions on anything?
So, you were talking about the descending lines on the last page at, was it 104 and 93, but we have kind of that in the same notes, but we have the same descending lines at 47 and 42.
Right.
Do you want the same, like, big impact there?
That's a great question. 93 especially. So really the measure at 93 and then 104 is the same, except that 104 one's syncopated, right? But they should both do the same thing, in that your voice is the one that takes us into that way. So yes, short answer is yes. They should do the same thing.
For 47 and 42.
Yes.
If you could, use like the keyword at 26 to 38, just for the French ones that, ordinarily, what would you describe them
You mean in terms of like style?
as? Yeah.
So kind of the same thing that we talked about earlier, where you want all those notes to connect. So D da 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 D da da, instead of like a da 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 da, all of it's connected.
So if I'm hearing your question, so that eighth note kind of leads to the fourth.
Yeah.
Kind of moving toward the, yes, a little push toward the fourth, and then more connected than what I had going.
Because the eighth note's kind of, that's really kind of the thing that moves it along. So if we're slow on the eighth note, then it doesn't drive like it should. Yeah. So think of like the eighth note falling into the quarter. D da 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 da. Does that make sense?
Guys, any other questions?
Yes, sir.
So the spot that I'm playing at a 68, that softer spot.
Yeah.
Should I be playing there for the rest of the song, or should I move back to the spot I'm playing at earlier?
Keep it where you were playing for the rest of the song. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. As much, we want, kind of as much lightness out of the cymbal as possible versus that kind of like hard, kind of cranky sound that ride cymbals sometimes have. So as much kind of lightness and sizzle as you can make.
So throughout the whole song?
Yes, yeah. And I would say the same thing for the hi-hat, even like the closed parts. It's more of just kind of a metallic tap versus like a hard rock kind of sound. Yes.
I think the grade when we have the descending line after that, it goes to like a bunch of long notes, and at that point where it just do you want to like drop after that, or like what do you want us to do there such that there's like all those long notes there? After the descending line.
Yes. I don't think you need to sustain at full power the entire time. And more just because you're not a moving line. But the little eighth notes that you have, like at 99, 101, definitely bring those out. And that's the same for all low voices. So yeah, if you're just playing footballs at 94, anytime that you do have a moving line, or you have a couple more notes than that, you definitely bring those out. And those guys does. Yes.
So at 94, when you said light, do you mean like articulation, or do you mean
Lightly in terms of like more of style. So it should still be a double forte. You should still kind of play full out, but it shouldn't sound heavy. It should still kind of have a lightness to it. Yeah. Yeah, especially your part the eighth note there. It's more of a I want to hear you, but it should more be like a dot 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 dot. Again, you're kind of it's another one of those motor ideas that keep things moving.
Anybody else? Anything else?
How long did it take you to write this?
So this piece was actually written for a friend of mine. Her name's Tanya Millsap, and she was a director in Georgia for a long time. And she had a student come to her and say, I guess they were thinking about getting a new piece, and so he said, I think we should have something written about the Autobahn. He'd just come back from a European trip or something, and so that was kind of the original inspiration behind it. But I think this took me about 6 weeks to do, and the main theme was actually something that I had done. I had written a cue for a short film, and so it that never made it past my computer, and so I saved that theme and thought, well, I'm going to use this for a concert band piece someday, and so that's where the theme and idea came from. So yeah, it was originally, the melody was written originally for a scene that involved a train, and so it seemed like an easy transition to this. Yeah, about 6 weeks.
What time did we go? Because, what are your itinerary? Somebody's got their itinerary quicker.
I got it.
It's 9:05.
9:05. Now, based on your bio, you live in Austin? Yes. Is that still correct? You guys have any questions about Austin? Place to live? Really cool? Nobody? They don't get out much.
It's a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic.
A lot of, yeah.
Yeah, I moved there, and I'm originally from Los Angeles, and then I bounced around a little bit as a kid, and then eventually ended up in Austin in 2003. But at the time, it was a glorified college town, and now it's not that anymore.
It's a real deal now, yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? We have some so we do a lot of arranging with our jazz guys, so there's a lot of stuff they do. So if you guys have some questions, I mean, because I think you make a living composing, arranging, and that's an anomaly. You all know that the guy that's a composer, arranger, and that's how he makes his living, that's unusual. Because most guys will do it kind of on the side. So, speak now. You guys were sitting there and you didn't answer your question. Shame on you. So yeah.
So when composing, do you create a melody? Do you create it based off of the chords, or do you just take a melody and make it off of it?
Used, that's your question. It depends. So used, it depends. It's not the same every single time. So sometimes when I start writing, I journal a lot, and so if I have a chance to write a piece, it's what do I want this piece to feel like? What do I want an audience to experience when they're hearing it? And so I'll journal a lot of just like, this is what I want it to feel like. And super generic. Like I want it to be fast in the beginning, and I want it to be slow in the middle, and that kind of thing. And so once I kind of figure out I think the piece kind of does this as a whole, then I start to break it down into the smaller things. And sometimes that can just be a rhythm. So like when I wrote I wrote a piece called Firefly, and when I wrote the main melody to that was just a rhythm sketch. And so, and then I put chords underneath the rhythm, and then the melody came last actually. And so but then like a piece like this, I knew the melody was first. So it really depends on, sometimes with a piece, you're trying to find a way into it. You're trying to find the entry point, so to speak, and how it kind of makes sense of itself. And you get in that way, whatever way you can. Yeah. Yes.
On average, how many pieces do you write a year?
Probably only one or two, and mostly just because I do a lot of arranging. So I do marching band designs for usually 15 high schools, plus the Boston Crusaders. So it usually only takes me, I don't usually have time for about a piece or two at the end, but yeah.
It was in the bio. You should have read it. Were you like
I
confused?
skimmed it. No, I love one.
No, Graham has like a 4.5 GPA.
We can't go up that high.
Okay, Graham has the highest GPA possible and skimmed your bio. So, like Boston, what? No, I told you guys, he's the real deal. So if you got a question, I mean, it's like if we could dig Mozart up and talk to him. So, ask. Yes.
So when you're composing your pieces, I know different composers do it differently. What do you tend to start with? Do you usually tend to start with just building on that melody, deciding what specific instruments you want to do that? Or do you tend to just determine that you're like, this is what I want, and these are who I want to be like on these parts, and you like write the melody, and then you're kind of like, I like how this sounds with like these different instruments, and I want to blend these together.
Yeah, that's a question. So for me, I usually will write the whole piece as like a piano part, like as a piano stage. So I'll use pencil and paper to kind of put basic ideas down, and then I'll try to write the whole piece using just like four staves. And so sometimes I might write a melody and go, this is definitely oboe, or this is definitely trombone, or whatever, just because I hear it as that. But most of the time it's just generic. And then then I'll orchestrate out those 3 or 4 staves into the full band chart. With the arranging, it's different. I'll go straight to arranging all the instruments at once, but when it comes to composing, I'll usually complete the whole piece. It's just basically a piano piece, and then blow that up. Yeah. Yes.
Use have you ever used like a musical notation?
I use Sibelius, which is notation software. Yeah. I don't have as much experience with the DAWs as I should, but yeah, I use Sibelius. Yeah.
Do you ever write like ensembles, and in that case, do you like those better than full band pieces, or?
I don't get a chance to write small ensemble stuff as much as I'd like. I love small ensembles, and it forces you to be a little bit more creative because you don't have the powers of a large group like this. And so you have to think a little bit more about what an individual can play versus what can, 8 horns play. So it changes how you approach it, but yeah, I would like to write more ensemble stuff. Yeah.
Do you ever experience writer's block? If so,
Yeah, a lot, unfortunately. And really what I've learned is that writer's block isn't that you don't have ideas, it's that you're kind of afraid of your own ideas. So that's what I've learned about myself, is that when I write blocks, it's because I don't have confidence in the notes I'm putting on the page. And so usually it's about trusting in yourself and going, what instinctively feels right now. It's not about, there's a really great producer, his last name is Rubens, and he has done pretty much, has had his hand on most of the major albums that you've heard within the last 20 or 30 years. And so his whole approach is the second that you start to write for an audience, you've already lost. That when you write for yourself and when you write for the things, when you write the sounds that you want to hear, that's when you're giving the best thing to the audience. But sometimes that's always easy. Sometimes that's easier said than done. Especially when writing for maybe a group that's competitive and you know that somebody's going to be putting a number down next to it, that changes things a little bit. But it's really about being true to what you think is right, because that is the right answer. Yeah. I played French horn. I was a French horn player who thought he was a percussionist, but I couldn't. Because most of my best friends are percussionists, but I'm like that about jazz band. Jazz is probably my favorite genre, but I can't swing out of a playground. It's pretty sad. But yeah, the French horn.
Oh, what model for short?
Actually played on a Fulton. Yeah. But my dream horn was a Lewis, but I couldn't afford it. But yeah. Nice. Yes. Wrote paradise lost.
Oh, so now Grant's paying attention. Now you go back to the viol. That's it, huh?
Yeah. The hardest instrument to compose for? Percussion. So and really it's because it wasn't, so I wrote a piece for Texas Christian University's percussion orchestra called Consider the Birds. And Brian West is the director of percussion there. great guy, and okay. And he said, he commissioned me to write this piece, and I said, I've never written a professional ensemble piece before. And so he just said, good luck. And so I went out and bought 4 mallets and sat in my studio, and I would say, well, I need you to edit this for me. And so I would write a chunk and send it to him, and he'd very graciously write back and say, yeah, that sounds great, but it's not playable. So I finally got 4 mallets and sat in my studio and literally tried to, it's like, oh yeah, that's literally impossible. Even if I'm playing it slow, that's not possible. So that was a learning curve for me, because I had to work through that, and but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that was hard.
I know you said you like jazz. Do you like New Orleans jazz or more New York jazz?
Yes. Yes. All the above. Yeah.
If you could compose for like any media franchise, what would it be and why?
As in like a movie franchise,
Movie, TV, like,
Oh man,
I don't know.
that's another like yes question. I think probably any opportunity would be awesome, but you know, it's anything that's action that would allow you to be able to use a lot of brass. Yes. Yeah,
Did you mind, you travel on the road with him a bit?
I like on weekends and stuff. So a lot of
Yeah, no, because he's probably making changes on the fly that day. So, let's not working on the field, let's come back and change this, so, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, we do a lot, like we're kind of in our busy season right now where we're building the summer show, and so we're doing a lot with the design team.
You probably have to kill you afterwards. You probably have to die.
It's different. One thing though.
Good. So what time was our next session? So if I gave you all a couple minutes to take care of your plumbing, you guys know where the bathrooms are. Also, if you want to come and say hello to Mr. George personally, obviously Graham will probably have a couple more questions. So if you see Graham coming, feel free to run if you need to. Why don't you guys, let's be back here. What time is our next, 9:15?
9:15 is when our next.
So why don't you guys, 10 minutes, be back here at 9:05, okay?
9:10.
Hey, just
Or
real
9:10,
quick,
excuse me.
just real quick, just thank you guys for your just work and efforts on this. So it's always, I always appreciate when performers spend the time and energy to work on something that I wrote. It always means a lot. So